Hello, my name's Deus. If you've come to me through the Facebook page, you know who I am. If you haven't, hello, thank you for clicking on this video. A few months back, in sort of November time 2014, I put a Facebook post up stating that I was no longer to be streaming League of Legends. For those of you who weren't aware, i.e. new people, because I live at home with costochondritis, I stream to kill time. And I used to stream a lot of League of Legends, a very popular game. However, in recent months, I have found I can no longer support or advertise on behalf of a company because, let's be fair, whenever you're streaming, you kind of are advertising. As a result, I'm currently going through a process of changing everything about my channel on Twitch, which obviously links in the doobly-doo. All the stuff on it is very League of Legends orientated. And for some time, I've not been streaming any League. And I've had a lot of people ask me why. Because I still play League, and I will continue to play League, but I'm sure as hell not going to be streaming it anytime soon. So it breaks down into 3 points. The first point is to do with the Tribunal, which in April 2014 or thereabouts, Riot Games decided to disable it. They've said that they're going to improve upon it, but we're now sitting here, at the time of recording, still no Tribunal. Instead, it's been replaced with an automated system, which I have nothing but contempt for. So the automated system is an interesting beast because, for one, it's an automated system, so there's very little accountability. Unlike previously with the Tribunal, where you could actually see what you did wrong through impersonal data, such as the chat logs with all usernames removed. So you could see everything that was said, all the builds, scores, CS, the whole shebang, and you could see what you did wrong. So if, for example, you got reported for negative attitude, which, I mean, come on, negative attitude can cover a wide variety of things. That can be the mid laner calling GG because the jungler didn't give them blue. It can be the AD carry that decides that the support has ruined his lane because they took 3 CS, or the top laner that doesn't follow his enemy, and the enemy roams down mid, gets like 2 kills, and he goes GG, my lane is over. That's not necessarily flaming or verbal abuse, but it certainly is a negative attitude. So, in that situation, something like a chat log can be very descriptive as to what you've done wrong. So, that's a start. But where it gets really dodgy is that, as part of the automated system, after a certain number of reports, it seems, it gets sent off to Riot. A Rioteer, we don't even know who, makes a decision. You can't appeal this decision. You can't see the evidence against you. And you are told, if you ask them, that there is a wealth of evidence, reassuringly. And while I don't expect Riot to be the criminal justice system of any country, a little accountability and fairness would probably go a long way to help a lot of people. Especially, again, if you get reported for negative attitude, it's such a broad term and it covers a wide varieties of behaviours that you need chat log evidence to show people what they've done wrong. The point is that in this situation, to put it in perspective, if you're reported, the evidence against you is collated and judged over by a effectively secret court that you can't appeal, you can't see the evidence, and then you're lashed with a punishment. Previously, the community would judge you, and so, while it wasn't perfect, it was actually a jury of your peers. And while they generally tended in favour of being they tended to punish net toxic players very highly, it did mean that less toxic elements of the game could come in. People who behaved consistently like, toxic players could see very clearly in the chat logs how they're not supposed to behave. So as a result, people didn't have an excuse. Now you're in a situation where if you get reported for, say, negative behaviour, and you actually get like a chat restriction or a rank restriction, which I'm going to talk about in 2 seconds, you've got very little to go with. Now, the punishments they've dished out, there are a lot less bans that seem to go round. And that is seeming. There probably is a lot of bans going around, and I don't see them. And that's fine. But a bigger problem is that they now have this ranked restriction, which I can totally understand. Like, believe me, we've all seen players go on tilt, and they just need to go off and play some other games. Now, a sensible option would be something like Sky Williams suggested. I'll put a link in the description below, in the doobly-doo, where rather than sending off a negative player to be forced to win, that's the other thing. Forced to win is a horrible way of putting it, but a forced to win situation would be you have to win this many games before you can continue. Now, in ranked. Now, think about that for 2 seconds. Oh, winning 20 games. Yeah, that's something that's doable. Winning 30 games. Yeah, that's doable. But even the best players in the world don't win every game. Keep that in mind, that even the highest players in Challenger and Master Tier generally have a win rate between 50 and 60%. So taking into consideration Riot's own reports that non-toxic or less toxic players win 11% more games on average, and let's just say you've got a 50% win ratio because, hey, you're not God, and a 60% win ratio in ranked, by the way, means you are not at the division you are meant to be. If you're hitting like a 60 to 70 win ratio, you're moving up. Good job. But if you're hitting like a 50 to 60 win ratio, and then you add 11% on that, you're still going to be losing about a third of your games. That's just like statistics shown. So, you know, if somebody gives you 20 games and you're losing a third of your games, that's 30 games you have to play on average before you can get back into ranked. Now, an average game will most likely last about half an hour. And assuming, again, big assumption that it's a half-hour game, there's no missed queues, the lobbies are minuscule, because, let's be honest here, from you clicking play to you actually getting in the game, that's quite a bit of time. You're looking at upwards of 10 hours of in-game time. That's not, again, as I said, missed queues, lobbies, losses, and if you won, like, that's just your wins. It's about 10 hours. If you add in all the time that you're going to spend in between, you're looking at upwards of 25 hours easily. And that's assuming you had like a 66% win ratio, which is insane. I don't think there's very many people who do. If you do, good job. But anyway, so you'll notice that the video I'm playing has nothing to do with what I'm saying. This is because I wanted you guys to have something to look at. And I know this is a bit of a protracted rant, but this kind of shit you guys need to hear. So, all of this stuff from point 1, whereby a punishment system that forces ranked players who are toxic to play normals, now means that normals is effectively part of ranked. Sky Williams had a suggestion to make them play Earth, which sure as hell would make a lot of people a lot happier, especially with an automated system that doesn't show them what they did wrong. So, this leads into point 2. Riot have quite clearly stated in several patches previously, and I don't want to go into specific champion balances, Lucian, but I don't really want to get into that, but they've made it very clear that they balance for high level play. Now, think about that for about 2 seconds. Balancing for high level play sounds like a great idea. This means that the best players are being catered to, and that they can really the Riot Games can react to some of the most complicated levels of play. For the moment, let's just assume the LCS is the absolute pinnacle of play, because if you ever watch the challenger teams that come up to the LCS play, they do kind of get outclassed by people like TSM, who've just been in the LCS since the word go. They've been around for so long that it doesn't, you know, they're just so used to this LCS meta that the challenger doesn't feel right to them anymore, which is kind of cool, I guess. But yeah, at this point, League of Legends community is massive. At the time of recording, League of Legends has 27 million. Riot has reported that 27 million people play the game daily. The concurrent player peak is 7.5 million. So around about in total, 67 million people play this game every month. Now that is insane. Okay. Now, how many people are in the LCS? Well, not including back row teams, because obviously they have beta teams and such side teams. Realistically, there's 5 people in each team, and there's 8 LCS teams. So even if right, let's just say we're going to count all the LCS teams in the world, because the Korean OGN has been changed to an LCS, and the European teams. That's about 120 people. When your player base is 67 million and you balance it for 120 people, you're going to cause some problems. These people are the literal 0.001%, okay? As any of you might have noticed, that's a big difference. So all of a sudden, that changes a lot of things. If you balance for the absolute tippity-toppest level of play, you're balancing to suit an incredibly small amount of people. The majority of the game, weirdly enough, is in bronze and silver. No, really. I've got a link in the doobly-doo. The majority of the people who play League of Legends, who play ranked, are in bronze and silver. So the balances and changes generally aren't aimed at those people. So last year, in 2014 when there was Lucian changes. Again, I don't want to get into a lot of specifics, but this one was specifically declared as nerfs to the high-level play, which turned out to be a buff to every level of play. Now that's Riot's balance problems, and that's another issue which I don't even want to touch on. But the more important point is that they are balancing for the highest level play, so they don't really care about you. Unless you are in Diamond 3 or above, or at least in Diamond 5 and above, they don't seem to actually care about the individual player, which I don't think is a very good ethic to have. Now, anyone wants to shout me down, debate me on it, that's fine, but I'm just explaining what I've seen happen. So, to recap so far, they treat you like a war criminal in terms of when you get reported, and they don't care about you if you're under a certain elo because they don't balance the game for you. So to basically everybody else, in a nastier way, which leads into their business strategy, they treat you like a cash cow. Now, this point I've had some issues with for a while, where they seem to put more money into things like merch and skins rather than back into developing the game. Keep in mind that Riot Games are a company. They are not some little small company. They are not an indie developer. They are owned by Tencent. Right? If you've never heard of Tencent, Wikipedia them. They are one of the biggest companies in the world. They have a controlling share of Riot. In fact, from what I've heard, they own a shit ton of Riot, but Riot's a private limited company, and its stock knowledge is a little bit more limited to the outside world. But Tencent also own parts of Epic Games, who are responsible for the Unreal Engine. And if you didn't know who Epic Games were, time to go educate yourself. They've made a lot of good games. Anyway, so they are not some indie developer that can get away with dodgy business strategies because, oh, we're so poor. This is a company that in 2013 reported crazy amounts of money that they just earned. And keep in mind, this is a company that was formed in 2006, has 11 locations around the world, and made $624 million in 2013. This is not a small company. This is a massive company. Alright? So, understandably, they're in the same ballpark as EA. EA doesn't get away with this shit, and neither should Riot Games. My best example of this is, which has happened very recently, is the Chroma skins. Now, the Chroma skins are a palette swap for skins you already own, and they want to charge you for it. Okay? That is insane, right? I mean, I'm not the only one that called this out. Believe me, because when the skins hit the PBE, the Chroma Key skins hit the PBE, the community responded in 8 hours, I believe, by producing more Chroma skins than the entirety of what Riot has even produced now, and I'm recording around about the 20th of April. Okay? So, that's insane! Could you realise that a company that earned over $600 million in 2013 is claiming to charge us for colour swaps, and then had the audacity to tell us on the PvE that, oh, the reason we can charge for these is because we spent so long making sure that it balances well with the map, when amateurs did it in the community within 8 hours. And keep in mind, these are not, you pay for this and it applies to all the skins that the champion has. No, it's skin locked. So you are going to be paying, according to what's on the PBE from right now, 590 RP for a palette swap. We didn't really like it when entire skins were palette swaps. What makes anyone think that this is fair? This is what I would call double dipping. We've seen it in the AAA industry for quite a long time. People like EA doing microtransactions for games that don't need them, and stuff like that. Now, before you go any further, before the hate comments start, I love, and I mean seriously, love the strategy that Riot Games has for monetizing their game. It is the only game that seems to reward both paying customers and non-paying customers pretty much equally, where the changes to individual champions when you pay money for stuff like skins tends to be cosmetic. There are some minor changes which don't really have any game buffs. I mean, things like characters with shades taking 1 less damage from Leona, Dragon Slayer skins doing 1 more damage to Dragon, stuff like that. Really minor differences that in general don't impact the game. But putting this in is a complete slap in the face to everyone who have supported them. Again, this is not a company wasting away for money. This is not a company that is having issues paying its bills. First of all, it's owned by one of the biggest game developers, or game financiers in the world, Tencent, which I've already mentioned. And now they want to charge you again for palette swaps of skins you already own. I don't feel I'm outside of my remit to not want to support a company that does that. Again, I'm not stopping playing League of Legends, I'm just not going to in any way help the company. I don't think it's fair on anyone. If you've ever been involved with League of Legends community, either as a player or if you're a content provider, I don't see how you can stand by a company that will judge you on high, not show you the evidence, and just declare that there is a wealth of it and you to shut up and accept the decision because there's no appeals. That a company that balances for 120 people and ignores when stuff is pretty much an issue, cough cough niddly. This is not me bitching about a particular champion, because the problem is a skill shot to the LCS and a skill shot to literally everybody else is practically two separate entities. The people in the LCS are the Olympian athletes. In fact, that is the best example. This would be like comparing amateurs to Olympian athletes. And really good amateurs are the people who aren't pro. You don't balance a game like League of Legends to suit 120 people worldwide. You should be balancing to help your community. And Riot Games have shown consistently since 2013 they don't give a fuck, so why should I? Anyway, I thought I should at least explain very clearly and fully why I don't agree with what's happening in whatever's going on in Riot Games, and why I'm not going to be streaming them anymore. I know this has been a long video, and I really, really, really do appreciate you sticking all the way through at the end. If you're going to shitpost me, now's the time to do it. And I could see why you could do it. But thank you very much for listening. Hopefully I'll start doing more stuff soon. I've been streaming Mass Effect. I'm going to start streaming some other stuff. But again, hopefully we'll get some more stuff for you soon.